you so much for joining me this afternoon to share more about your experience with the Brilliant Balance Breakthrough Program. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So just first, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Michelle Hall, and I am a single mom. I work full time. I have a 10-year-old son, so lots and lots of stuff going on. My company is a startup that I work for, so lots and lots of activity there. Sorry, I don't know. Do you want me to hear about how I found out about Brilliant Balance? Or?
Yes. How did you kind of stumble upon the Brilliant Balance program and Cheryl Ann?
Okay. Okay, let me ask you another question. I'm sorry.
Sure, no problem.
So can I talk about God? Because for me, it was a God thing.
Absolutely. We have a lot of women who are faith-based. And so again, like they will relate to your story. So absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, finding out about Brilliant Balance was a total God thing. I came home late one evening from driving my son to his dad. His dad lives about 6 hours away. So we were doing our custody swap, and I can never just go straight to bed. So I was unwinding a little bit, checking out Facebook, and I saw a Facebook ad for the Brilliant Balance program. And it was just talking about, I can't even remember the tagline that it had, but just about, are you tired of spinning your wheels? Are you ready to make some changes for your life and really have some breakthrough? And that's exactly where I was and what I was going through, and kind of hitting this wall of it's time for things to change. Like, this is my moment. And there's been several changes in my life and several things that I've come through and I was on the other side of, and just felt like this is my moment. This is the time. I'm at that point in the road where it has to go one direction or another, and it's time. I need these breakthroughs. And so, again, it was late that night when I saw it. The call was the next morning at like 8 a.m. I'm like, okay, yeah. So I'm like, well, we'll see if I'm awake for this or not. And, if I'm up, then I'll go. I'm not going to set an alarm, but if, and usually we're up at 6:30 a.m. during the week or whatever with our schedule. So if I happen to be awake, then I'll participate. And if not, then it wasn't meant to be. I'll just pass on that. So I woke up at about 7:45 a.m. and I'm like, well, I'm going to jump on that call. I'm just going to do it. So, so I got on the call, and I loved everything that Cheryl Ann talked about, and it spoke to exactly where I was in my life. And I was just like, this is what I need. And so I pressed that button at the end to say yes, to explore what the next step is. So
yeah, that's great. And Michelle, say a little bit more, at that point when you picked up the phone and scheduled the call, what were you wanting to change in your life, or where was your life at that moment that led you to say, I need to make a change?
Yeah, I think several things. So I got divorced several years ago, and that was a very unhealthy relationship, and I was under some boulders, emotionally and mentally and all those kind of things. And it had been long enough since my divorce that, I was really ready to take control of some things for myself. And I felt like I finally had a little bit of power to do that. I've moved every couple of years throughout most of my life, ever since graduating high school, and finally bought my first home a couple of years ago. And I was at, this summer was about my 2.5-year mark in the home. And so, that's when I found out about Breakthrough, and then in the Brilliant Balance program. And also with my job, I've been at my job for 5.5 years at this point, and really questioning where do I belong? What is my swim lane? And my career and my life have just kind of evolved, and I've never felt like I had a lot of control over it. And I've learned a ton about myself over the last several years. So knowing more about myself and feeling again like it's time for me to take charge, the things that were outside of my control more, I feel like I finally had some control over. And it was just kind of all these things coming to a head.
Yeah, that's
So
great. And, what made you decide to finally invest in the program and enroll?
yeah, that was the kicker for me. So knowing, that this is going to have a cost associated, and being in the financial position that I am, recovering from a divorce and all of that debt, and the marriage where we had where I didn't have investments built up, and those kind of things. So, and then my financial goals and my financial plan that I had currently established, it was a big investment, and I really had to stop and think about that and say, can I really afford to do this? And I was at that fork in the road where I knew I had to make a change. Now is the time. I had to do it now. And yes, it's a big investment, but it's an investment in myself. And so knowing just that I had to do it, that I was investing in myself, and that I am going to make a difference in my future by doing this. And that's what I was able to say yes to, making that decision. So
that's great. That's great. And what did it feel like when you made that decision to join the program?
I had that moment of, what did I just do?
Yes.
What have I got myself into? But honestly, just the hope of, they say that I'm going to get breakthrough. They say that it's going to change my life, and that's what I need.
Yeah.
And I can't not do this. And so just that is what spurred me on, and just kind of gave me that hope that this is going to make a difference. And then it was okay.
That was good. That's great. And what was it like to be in the program? Was it what you expected? Were there any surprises along the way?
I was very pleasantly surprised with so many things. So there was always something in the back of my mind going, okay, this is a marketing gimmick. This is a sales gimmick. What am I really getting myself into? Is Cheryl Ann and her team really for real? Are these real people? Or, like I've gone to some of those presentations that, HGTV, they're going to be here and they're going to talk to you about how to flip your house and make millions just like they do. And then the people aren't even there, So I'm like, is this really for real?
Yeah.
And, having the live one-on-one calls, having the Facebook group where you're interacting directly with Cheryl Ann and her amazing team, like Amanda here. And just, it is real. It is legitimate. They are there to support you. They're there to help you. They're amazing people, so encouraging, so uplifting. If you ever get stuck, they know exactly how to help you get unstuck, because they've worked with so many people and they have so much great experience and knowledge. And so it is legitimate, and it can change your life.
We do have some skeptics out there. So
I was definitely one.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's great. And, when you were in the program, Michelle, say more about like what tools or strategies really helped propel you towards those goals that you had set for yourself.
Yeah, I am my own worst critic.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've learned that that's the community that I'm in, is a lot of high achieving, high performing people. And we're all driven and we all want to be successful. And whether it's a career breakthrough, a family breakthrough, an emotional breakthrough, whatever kind of breakthrough that you're seeking to get, there are people in the group that you can relate with and learn from their experience, and they can learn from your experience. So just having that community dynamic has been amazing. And it's easier for me sometimes to see all of the things that I'm not doing than all of the things that I am. And so there are several tools that Cheryl Ann and her team give you that make everything very tangible and easy to accomplish. Mm-hmm. So just taking the moment, taking the time to stop and think about what it is you want, what are your dreams, what are your goals, and then using their tools to break those down. And it's a step-by-step process, and it builds. So it's very achievable, and it really makes a lot of sense. And then she gives you tools like how to break through mindsets. Like, that's not something that people normally talk about, but it's something that we all face. And there might be a mindset challenge that's holding you back and you don't even realize it. So talking about the mindset shifts, having the breakthrough action plan, where little by little you're building the foundations of the plan that you want to have for your life and how you want to build your own future and take control of that.
That's great. And Michelle, share with us like some of the accomplishments or the results that you achieved during the program.
Well, I wanted breakthrough in several different areas, like I alluded to earlier. So one of them is in regards to my home. So like I said, I've moved every couple of years for most of my life. And so, you know, I'm accustomed to having things in boxes and just being very unsettled, and I'm kind of over that. The other thing I'm over is trying to live out other people's dreams for my life. And so I figured out who I am and that it's okay to be who I am and accept that I want different things from people. And so there's been a lot of things that I have held on to in my home, and I have boxes of memorabilia and things from, you know, many, many years ago that, you know, somebody else had an emotional connection to, so I held on to it. And even just the amount of stuff, period. I moved 2.5 years ago from a house that, you know, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, where the garage was used for storage, into a home where the garage was converted into living space. So it forced me to downsize, and that's what I wanted. I loved that about this house, is that it had limited storage and it was going to force me to downsize. But for 2 years, I've been living with boxes everywhere because it doesn't have a home. Right. And so finally just accepting who I am and what I want for my life, and taking a moment to stop and think about what I want my home to look like. What is the breakthrough that I want in my home? And what steps am I going to take to accomplish that? And I spent a weekend and made a big difference in 2 of my rooms. And it just felt great to do that and have that accomplishment. One of the things that Cheryl Ann talks about that has really resonated with me is the idea of imperfect action. So I can often be held back. I'm kind of a perfectionist. And if I don't think that I can accomplish a whole project or do the whole thing exactly the way I want it to, that I just won't do it. Or I have trouble getting started because I don't know where to start if it's overwhelming, things like that. And so, you know, these 2 rooms that I was talking about, or the house overall, I wasn't able to make a difference in the whole house, but I was able to accomplish getting 1 room exactly the way I wanted it, or, you know, things like that. So
you got started, which is awesome.
I got started, yeah.
Let's see. If you hadn't decided to work with Cheryl Ann, where do you think your life would be right now?
Oh, yeah, I would still be stuck, and I would still be extremely frustrated. I think there are some steps that I would have taken regardless, but certainly not as quickly. And I tend to just wing it and fly by the seat of my pants. And so I would not have stopped and thought about a plan for connecting what I want with how I'm going to accomplish those things.
Yes.
And speaking about tools, one of the tools that I use on a daily basis is the weekly plan. So the weekly plan and the running to-do list, and then the breakthrough action plan, combining those 3 things in making things happen. So, you know, I have the weekly plan where I think through my schedule and I'm able to be proactive about conflicts and resolving those, or plan out my errands around town so that my life is more efficient and more effective, which gives me the extra time I need to do these other projects or have the breakthroughs that I want. And then incorporating the action plan into that. So it's not just the everyday, here's what you have to do, but combining the breakthrough that you want for your life and how you're going to achieve that, building that into the action plan so that you are taking steps toward achieving your goals and dreams.
Yes.
And I wouldn't have been as good at putting those things together.
That's great.
And putting myself on my action plan.
That's great. I mean, it sounds like you learned a lot of discipline, which has really helped you make progress, which is awesome.
Well, and just even back to the idea of investing in myself and, being a single mom and stuff, and moms in general, we all put everybody else first. Our husbands, if you have a husband, our kids come first. Everybody else is part of our weekly plan and our action plans, and they're all our priorities. And a lot of times we don't prioritize ourselves. So taking a moment to stop and think about what you want, what your goals and dreams are, and building them into your schedule and into your plan so that you can, make those things happen and feel good about that and feel good about what you're accomplishing and that you're doing something for yourself and meeting your needs as well.
Right. That's great. And one last question for you, Michelle. What would you tell someone if they were considering the Breakthrough program?
Make like a Nike and just do it.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, really, it is so worth it. The team is amazing. The tools are very practical and easy to understand. Another concern that I had was that, when you talk about the homework, is it going to be overwhelming? I don't have time for this. Where's that going to fit in my schedule? But it's not overwhelming at all. It's very achievable. And, the lessons are in a format that you can listen to it during your commute if you need to, or while you're doing dishes or laundry. It's very achievable. So I just encourage everyone to do it, to invest in yourself, to help take the actions to make your dreams come true and just feel good about your life and where you're going.